How do I figure out what's next in my career? How do I align my work with what truly matters to me? And the biggest question of all, can I really design a career that I love? Hey, my name is Jen Smith, and I believe career success doesn't have to come at the expense of living a radiantly happy and healthy lifestyle. As a former HR leader and recruiter turned career coach, I've seen how traditional paths can leave people burned out or boxed in. And I know there's a better way, one that invites you to let go of outdated rules and outside expectations, one that evolves and supports meaningful growth over time. Whether you're feeling stuck, craving more clarity, or ready to expand within your current role and beyond, this show is for you. So grab your coffee or your kombucha, pull up a seat, and get ready to explore practical, modern strategies for building a meaningful, heart-based career. Because you deserve a long, radiantly happy, and healthy career. This is the Flourish Careers Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Flourish Careers Podcast. I'm Jen Smith, your host, and I'm actually coming to you from a new little morning ritual of mine, which is a stop at the post office to ship out the new in-season planners. And honestly, I'm having so much fun packaging them up and sending them off. I mean, who doesn't love a little bit of snail mail in today's digital world? And the messages I've been receiving from people who have already received theirs have been so lovely. One beloved colleague told me it feels like a mini day spa to start her morning. So gentle and nourishing, and she said the quality is a solid 10 out of 10. Hearing things like that, I can't even tell you how thrilled I am to finally bring these beauties into the world. And I have to say, if you're contemplating a career shift this year, the in-season planner makes a beautiful companion. It supports reflection, clarity, and small intentional steps forward. And I also have a little thank you for podcast listeners. You can use the code PODLOVE at checkout for 10% off, and I'll make sure that link is in the show notes. Now, over the last 3 weeks, we've been talking about career reinvention. If you missed that series, I highly encourage you to go back and listen. It really sets the foundation for the entire year and what we're exploring today. Because today's episode is about courage. Not the loud, dramatic kind we often picture, but the quiet courage it takes to listen to yourself. The courage to take one honest step in your career without having the entire plan figured out. So in this episode, I'm going to share a few personal stories about courageous decisions I've made. And I didn't think they were courageous at the time, but I now realize that they were. We'll walk through what courage looks like in our everyday work lives. Again, not just big leaps, but in subtle choices and boundaries. And we'll wrap up with a few grounded, practical ways you can use today to begin practicing courage. If you've been standing at the edge of a choice and feeling both the fear and curiosity at the same time, this conversation will help you. So let's get to it. I want to start by sharing a story because sometimes it's not big, monumental moments that change everything. It can be a single sentence you repeat to yourself until you're brave enough to believe it. And for me, that sentence was, 1 year. Just try it for 1 year and see how it goes. Those are the words I said to myself when I decided to take the final step away from the stable, predictable world of corporate employment and into the vast, very ambiguous world of self-employment. At the time, that sentence did not feel bold, it did not feel confident, and it did not feel like any kind of big declaration. But what it did feel like was permission. Because I wasn't saying to myself, this has to work forever, or I could never go back, or even I know exactly what I'm doing, because I had no idea what I was doing. But I was saying, I'm willing to give this a try. I'm willing to listen to my heart. I'm willing to see what happens if I honor what feels true. And that step, giving myself 1 year, was the scariest and most courageous thing I've ever done in my career and for my career. Now, I want to pause here because this matters. Courage doesn't always look like confidence. Sometimes courage looks like fear paired with a tiny movement forward. And now here's the thing. I did not think I was brave. At that point in my life, I didn't think of myself as particularly courageous. I thought of myself as responsible, thoughtful, prepared. I had always done everything quote unquote right. I built a solid career. I made practical decisions. I followed a path that made sense on paper. And yet there was a growing restlessness that I couldn't ignore. Looking back now, I see how courageous that moment actually was. And let me tell you, friends, I felt all the real resistance. There were so many logical fears about money, stability, identity, what other people were going to think. But alongside that resistance, there was something I could not ignore. That gentle nudge, the whisper in the back of my mind, and it was almost like there was a hand on my back saying, just give it a try. It wasn't loud. It certainly did not come with instructions. It was just there. And I knew that if I ignored it, I would live with regret far longer than I would live with fear. So I made a promise to myself, which was not forever, just 1 year. And my friends, that was 6 years ago, and I'm still here, still self-employed, still choosing a heart-based path. I'm still learning, refining, and adjusting as we go. And not every day has been easy, but what has stayed consistent is that I trust myself more than I ever did before. And that trust has changed everything, which brings me to a question I want you to sit with for a moment. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to make a brave decision in your career? It doesn't have to be something impressive. It doesn't even have to be anything external, but something that just felt true in your heart. Because I will tell you that the bravest thing we can do is listen to our hearts and act on what we hear. So now let's talk about what that actually looks like in real life, not as a concept, but as a way of building a career. So here's what heart-based career planning really means. At the core, it's about alignment. Alignment with your core values, which is what's important to you in this season of career. Alignment with your energy, so you're doing work that generates your energy, that you look forward to, that you're good at. In the impact that you want to make, and alignment with the lifestyle you actually want to live. Now, I will say that alignment requires courage because it doesn't always match others' expectations. And I will tell you that I learned this lesson long before I ever thought about leaving corporate work. So let me share this story. Years before I ever left corporate, I made another brave decision that once again, I did not realize at the time. I changed jobs and relocated during the 2008 recession. On paper, this made no sense. The timing felt wrong, and I will tell you, my mom was livid. She was worried, and she was very clear that in her mind, this was not the moment to take a risk. And honestly, I understood her concern, and part of me agreed with it. But underneath all of that, beneath the fear, the questions, the very reasonable objections, something in me knew that staying put would cost me more than the discomfort of moving forward. Hey there, beloved listener. It's Jen here, and I'm popping in with a quick invitation just for you. I know how hard it can be to navigate your career, especially in a world of work that's constantly changing. That's why I created The Gathering Ground. It's an insider circle for steady, heart-based support to help you grow with clarity, confidence, and community. Inside the Gathering Ground membership, you're invited to join us for weekly office hours to ask questions and stay grounded, exclusive pricing on one-on-one coaching, seasonal goal setting and reflection workshops, You'll receive a secret monthly newsletter with fresh tools and inspiration. There's a growing library of networking scripts, checklists, and career development tools designed to support you throughout your career. And best of all, a kind, generous community of professionals who just get it. So whether you're staying, shifting, or starting fresh, this is your space to be supported and stretched in the best way possible. It's just $97 to join, then $27 a month. Flexible, affordable, and no long-term commitment. To get started, head on over to flourish.careers/community and answer a few quick questions. Based on your responses, I'll send you a personalized development plan so you can begin right away with clear human support. No bots, no templates, just thoughtful guidance to move forward with confidence because you deserve a long, radiantly happy, and healthy career. I cannot wait to see you on the inside. Now, back to the episode. Now, this decision was not impulsive. It was deeply considered. I couldn't control the economy. I couldn't control the uncertainty, but I could choose alignment over fear. And that moment taught me something I've carried into every career decision since then, which is this: doing what's right for you may not look like others' expectations, even people like mom who love you the most. Sometimes courage means disappointing others in the short term so you don't abandon yourself in the long term. And learning how to sit with that discomfort is part of building a heart-based career. Now I want to switch gears and share another story from inside the workplace. So this is an example of career courage from inside the corporate environment. I once worked with a colleague who led her team with remarkable courage. She was crystal clear about her team's priorities and goals. She communicated them exceptionally well across a very complex matrix organization. And of course, inevitably, other leaders began pulling her team in too many directions, which I'm sure many of you can relate to. But I remember watching her step in and say no. It wasn't reactive. It wasn't defensive. It was grounded. She offered thoughtful alternatives. She helped others move their work forward without sacrificing her team's focus or their well-being. And in doing that, she protected her team and supported the broader business. Watching her do this gave me permission to do the same. And that's one of the greatest benefits of courage at work. There's a ripple effect. When one person takes a brave step, like setting a boundary, asking for what they need, saying yes or no thoughtfully, it creates safety for others to do the same. And that courage is contagious. It's what shifts cultures. It changes what feels possible. It builds trust. And it always starts so much smaller than we think. This wasn't a grand gesture, but it was one person choosing alignment over approval, which really brings me to the heart of career courage. So let's talk about what it looks like in real life. And I want to share a few lessons I've learned along the way. Lesson 1 is that courage builds self-trust. This is key. Every time you honor what you know to be true for you, not everybody else, not what others think, not what you should be doing, but every time you honor what you know to be true for you, your relationship with yourself gets stronger and stronger. You prove to yourself that you're paying attention, and the universe responds to that. It builds self-trust, and self-trust is really the foundation of clarity, confidence, and long-term sustainable success. When you trust yourself, decisions feel lighter and they come more natural. Lesson number 2 is that courage creates healthier workplaces. When people feel safe to speak up and ask for what they need and take thoughtful risks, workplaces become more innovative and, frankly, more human. Bravery creates that psychological safety, which is really the foundation where everything else grows and lives from. Lesson 3 is that courage is a muscle. Courage is not something you either have or you don't have. It's a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. You don't have to blow up your entire career to be brave. You just have to practice little by little. Speaking of practice, let's talk about how to practice career courage. If you're wondering how to begin, here are a few grounded places to start. First, share your ideas. Maybe give feedback. Bring your perspective to the table. And I always encourage folks that you can do this in a way that works for you. If you don't like to speak up in meetings, do it in a one-on-one. Or if you prefer to share your ideas in writing, go ahead and do that and then maybe follow up with a discussion. Another way to practice is to say yes intentionally. So choose opportunities that stretch you in ways that feel expansive for you. I'm not talking about things that are going to deplete you or that you get voluntold to do. Be selective in opportunities that are going to grow and stretch you in a way that feels good. Also, saying no or not right now. So protect your energy, your time, and your values by saying no. And you can do this in a really grounded and thoughtful way by offering alternatives or sharing why you have to say no or not right now. That makes it come across in a much more heart-based way. And then, of course, give yourself permission to try. This is really what did it for me. And I recently heard Miss Excel. If you're not familiar, go check out Miss Excel. I heard her on a podcast talking about her story, and she also gave herself permission to try for 1 year. And look at where she is now. So give yourself permission to try a season, a year, a chapter, whatever that means for you. Permission is powerful. And at the heart of it all, forming and following a heart-based career plan takes courage. It takes courage to leave the familiar behind. It takes courage to disappoint others, which usually is short term. That story about my mom, once I made the change and she saw that I was okay, it was only a short-term disappointment and everything worked out just fine. It takes courage to choose alignment over expectation or shoulds or anything that looks good on paper. But the bravest people aren't fearless. They move with the fear. They take one small step in the direction they want to go, and they let that momentum carry them forward. It takes practice. So if this episode stirred something in you, if you felt that familiar nudge to pause, listen, or take one small brave step, I want you to know this. You don't have to do it all at once, and you don't have to do it alone. Of course, I'm here to support you if that feels comfortable. The in-season planner pairs beautifully with the Fried to Flourishing Career Change course. Both of them are designed to last a season, about 3 months or 12 weeks. While the in-season planner helps you slow down and notice what's coming up for you, Fried to Flourishing course helps you gently turn those insights into action. So you'll gain clarity on what's next, you'll refresh your professional brand, you'll develop a thoughtful job search strategy, you'll learn how to interview with confidence and negotiate intentionally. Together, these two tools create a really nice rhythm of reflection and forward movement without any hustle or pressure. And remember, you don't need to decide forever. I always tell folks this decision isn't written in cement. You can begin with just one season. So that's all for today, my friends. As always, the detailed notes for this episode are on the blog at flourish.careers/blog. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time.